if you have a Dacia Duster or a Logan or a Sandero or even a Renault Megane or Renault Clio, and your cabin air fan does this, your blower does this, that is to say nothing except on the highest level, level 4, then what you need is one of high quality air conditioning's these things. It's a fan resistor, final stage resistor, and we're going to show you how to replace that. It is simple yet difficult. It's a very simple job to do, but it's awkward because of the access. So we'll show you where it's located. It's very unlikely I can show you the actual process of taking it in or out because I'm not going to be able to get the camera and me into the area that it is, but I'll show you where it's located, and I will show you how you can actually test the resistor just to make sure that it's the resistor that's dead before you go and buy a new one. See you in a mo. Tooling required, nothing special, nothing too tricky. T20 Torx bit, T20, it does say that on it, trust me. A little ratchet and possibly an extension depending on how flexible your arms and wrists are. Don't use a screwdriver, a ratchet screwdriver or whatever, with this bit in the end of it because it won't fit. The tricky part of this job, because it's just swapping a resistor, is the access is very awkward. So you're doing this, you will only get one arm in here, I guarantee it, and you'll be doing it at fingertips. So the tooling it's easy, it's dead standard stuff, T20 and possibly an extension. So far, I've managed it so far to remove it with just using that. I haven't put it back in yet. Ratchet, and then obviously your non-marring trim tool or popper opera to remove the poppers on that bit of trim above the pedals in the footwell. Let's go and look at where this thing is then, shall we? So where it is there. I don't know if you can see that. So this is it here, the white thing here. And on the top of here is the Torx T20 screw that you have to remove. So you have to remove that screw. And then that tang that will be sort of on the left-hand side of your screen, or the top of the screen, I should say, needs to be depressed. And then you slide the unit, in this case, up, but away from that tang. So you remove the T20 screw. And then you push the tang and pull the thing out. So yeah, that's where it is. So another view, I've got the camera facing me because we're going to go up under the dash. So as we go down, don't look up my nostrils, there's the underside of the steering column, and we're going underneath into the footwell, and there it is, the white thing. You can probably see I have managed to leave in the Torx bit from the driver, so you can actually see where that screw is. You lie on your back, and I use my right arm up and round, and I think it's the only way you can do it. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I've just done it, so it can't be that bad. Okay, so now you've seen where it is in the car, the whole process from start to finish. Dead straightforward. I'll just run through the whole process. First thing you're going to do is remove this piece of trim from in the footwell. This sits, those cutouts are for the pedals, so this sits up. And you're going to remove this, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little trim buttons with your trim tool. Pull this down out of the way. No problems. You're going to dislocate your right arm at the shoulder, lie down on the back, slide underneath. The hardest part of the job I found is the next part, which was disconnecting the plug. This is obviously a four-way multi-plug, and it's the usual kind of thing with two springy, tangy things. It's in there really tight, so your arm up round like this. There's a relay that just, the marker's gone, but there's a relay that digs right into your hand. So you're trying to squeeze this and wiggle, 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 tight, pull, whilst you're cutting into your hand right here. Don't be tempted to pull on the wires for obvious reasons. It's tight. It is tight, but it will go. Then this unit is sitting in the car. It's this way up, and up here is a little torque screw, T20 torque screw. So you remove that with your thingy. Once that's removed, you press this tang at the bottom here. That unhooks. There's a little bit under here, a little slot there. That unhooks that slot from a little bit of plastic that sticks up. It enables you now to slide this up slightly. Just clicks up. The screw, the only thing the screw does is stop it go up. It's not actually screwed into this. It just, so you remove that screw, to press the tang up, and then it pulls straight out. So that's dead simple. Installation is the reverse of removal. Obviously, you push it back in, and don't forget to push it down, because if you don't push it down and get the click, you won't have the room on top up here to put the screw in. You can't see that screw hole. There is no way you can see that screw hole. So that's all done by feel. Try not to drop the screw. This, my extension, I used an extension for putting it back together. On removal, it was just the ratchet and the bit. This is magnetic. This one's a magnetic one, so it holds the screw nicely on the tip. Put it in, do that. Oh, one thing I did do, I didn't show you, but before I put the new one back in, I just plugged it in to test it, because I didn't want to put it all the way back together. So plugged it in, tested it, it worked, took it back out again. Put it in, plug it back in, and then just test it before you put the put your trim panel back in, and that's it done in terms of part numbers. Can you see that? My phone is terrible. I need a new phone. Can you see those part numbers? Come on, focus, you awful thing. That is the part number. If you just Google search on that lower number, N102463E, that will find what you need. Just bear in mind that everyone I've looked at says for air conditioning, vehicles with air conditioning. So that kind of implies that there's two versions of this resistor, one for vehicles with air conditioning and possibly one for vehicles without. This one has air conditioning. So yeah, we'll put that panel back on and I'll show you. So now that you've broken your back and wiggled your fingers and got them out, here's the this is the old resistor here, the dead one. Here is the new one. Really simple to test, really simple to test. What happens is this part here is a thermal fuse, and it gets hot and it trips. So you don't get any continuity here. You can measure that on these two pins here. Nothing. On the new one, continuity, it's all good. So this thermal fuse is intact, and the new resistor will work, and we'll all be very happy. So that's method one, is just checking the continuity between pin 1 and 4, or just go straight to the fuse itself. The other method, and I did this just for a laugh in the car with the old one still in situ, so, well, not in situ, removed, but still plugged in. I just bridged it with a little jumper cable like this. We went like that, and then we turned on the, if I can get my fingers to operate, it's a little bit chilly. Little croc clips like that, we just literally shorted out the thermal fuse, and it operated as normal. So it proves that fuse is blown. You've got two options, really. You do have two options. You can actually replace this little thermal fuse, but there's a problem with that, or you can just replace the whole assembly. So this thermal fuse, I think it's 192 degrees C trip. You can actually get these thermal fuses from many component suppliers. I know RS Electronics do exactly the 192 degree one. So you can cut this off and you can solder in a new one. A new one of these is, say, £5. I paid €35 for this aftermarket version. You can get them cheaper in the UK. Corfu is a wonderful place to live, but you're very restricted when it comes to car parts. You can get these a lot cheaper in the UK. The problem is 192 degrees C is lower than the melting temperature of solder. So if you were to solder a new one in, when you put your soldering iron on here and here, you run a real risk of actually blowing, and this is a fuse, it's not a circuit breaker, once it's blown, blowing your new thermal fuse. Obviously, you could put a heatsink in here. Now, you might be thinking, well, these thermal fuses come with long legs, so we could just, put the fuse up here and have long legs and solder, but you don't want to do that for two reasons. One, this fuse is monitoring the temperature of this resistor, not the air in the car, so this needs to be physically close to this. So that's reason one. The other reason is, and I'm guessing here, I don't know what's here in the car. So this sits in the airstream of the fan motor, in that sort of plenum chamber. I don't know how far in this goes before it hits something. So if you put this sticking out here, it may well hit something. So you don't do it. Okay, put it in exactly the same place, the same length, or just buy a new resistor and be done with it. Yeah, easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Air conditioning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Lovely, €35. About an hour, but you know what? You could do it in half an hour if you were pushing, if you're in a rush. Excuse me. Easy peasy. Bye.